Alright. What is up, guys? We are AD3.0.
Yes.
It's your boy Demo.
It's your boy Tony.
And welcome back to another edition of the AD3.0
AD3.0
podcast, episode number 2.
Yeah. We on that 2.
Mm-hmm.
That number 2, that uno, dos, just dos. How you doing today?
I'm doing alright.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You doing...
I'm doing good.
What's your shirt?
It's the Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling shirt.
Oh, okay.
A whole shebang.
Oh.
What shirt you got on?
I got I'm just rocking Pikachu.
That's clean.
It's a very clean shirt. Okay. I'm messing with my Pikachu. I mean, it's a nice clean shirt though. Very, very clean and crisp. We got our set in the background. A little set. We got Pinhead and Jason.
Yeah.
And the heart. Yeah. So what news we got this week? What news we got this week?
We got a bunch of articles, a bunch of news going on, a bunch of stuff that was actually posted today.
Okay.
So we're gonna cover this Randy Orton news.
God damn, it's so long. You might want to chop that up a little bit.
I will.
Okay.
I will. So apparently there's this Randy Orton news story going around, and apparently it happened back in 2005.
Oh.
But they're bringing it up now.
Just now.
Yeah, and it's it's starting to get really big. So this article comes from WrestlingNews.co. Take it with a grain of salt, because you don't know how credible any of these sites are. But it's being posted on a lot of sites, so there's got to be some sort of truth to it if it's getting posted on that many sites.
Some credibility. Okay.
But so the post originally came from a user that goes by the name of Carter Voorhees 31 on Reddit.
Not Jason?
No.
Okay.
And apparently the story came from a guy named Court Bauer, who was doing a podcast about it in 2012. The MLW podcast is where the story came from. I don't know why this guy posted it now. But what he said on the podcast was, for every new writer that would show up, he would come in the room, put his hand down his pants, pull out his duh, touch himself, and say, "I'm Randy Orton, shake my hand." "Oh, you don't want to shake my hand? You're big leaguing me. That's effed up, man. Should I tell Vince and Steph you don't want to shake Randy Orton's hand?"
Mm-hmm.
And he went on to say that the writers would start sweating and stuff. He would back them into a corner with his duh hanging out, and it would just be really intense, and it was very uncomfortable. And the one time Stephanie walked in, and he explains it as a teacher walking in, entering a classroom when something bad's happening, pretty much.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the whole story. I don't see why it's such a big thing, but
well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I think, in my honest opinion, Randy Orton should not be penalized for the situation, even if it was in present day. The reason for this was, and the reason why I have a problem with this is what we know. This was supposedly or allegedly, however you want to take it, done in 2005. It is now 2018. That is nearly two decades, right?
no,
Or a decade?
it's about 13 years now.
About 13 years now.
Something like that.
And it's just not being brought up now.
Yeah.
I have a personal problem with these kinds of things because of the fact that whenever you see this all the time. You see this all the time on news or TMZ and a lot of celebrity outlook type of deals. When a man of popular stature, power, a lot of celebrities, you know, John Travolta, Bill Cosby, who's the like the black old narrator that's always narrating stuff, Morgan Freeman. Men of those statures, a lot of men, and you know, and Hollywood is very toxic. So we do know that some of these men have done some shady stuff in the past. However, I have a problem with it when women come to the forefront 20, 30, 40 years later and then try to bring these situations up and then try to penalize this person because this person has a higher stature than what they had previous when they knew that person.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton, in 2005, Randy Orton did not have a championship. He did not have a world championship, I should say. Correct.
I honestly don't remember.
He wasn't world champion. I don't think he was world champion until.
I can look this up.
You can look it up real quick. But what we do know, before you look that up, before go ahead and look it up. What we do know is that Randy Orton is a 13-time world heavyweight champion. He's multi-successful, has a beautiful wife, has beautiful children, has a beautiful house down in Florida, California, whatever it may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a problem that the fact that this man, who's probably not even employed in the WWE no more, decides that now he's going to bring this to attention and to the public because he knows the power that social media has on today's world. Back in the day, it's perfectly fine that, you know, some women would bring some situations up to the forefront because back then there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, so some of these women couldn't bring certain things to the forefront. But now that there's Twitter and things of that kind of nature, anything that is said, done, could be brought up, and, you know, Twitter can attack and do its job.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have a problem with the fact that this man, if this is true, that he would bring this up now. And what I'm going to say next, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but it's Randy Orton. If Randy Orton was to pull his dude right in front of me right now and tell me to shake his hand, I would. You want to know why? Because he's a 13-time world heavyweight champion who has a large stature in the WWE and is one of the best wrestlers to ever step in this weird ring within the past 2 decades.
Whoa, hold up. So you're gonna tell me that, I'm assuming you're coming from the perspective of somebody who just got there.
Yes.
You're telling me a grown ass man gonna pull his deal out, touch it, and then shake your hand. You gonna shake it?
It's Randy Orton.
I don't care who it is. I ain't touching nobody's hand that went and touched it. No, you don't do that.
You most definitely would have. If Hulk Hogan himself would have pulled it out to shake his hand, you would have done it. If LeBron James would have pulled his out,
LeBron James don't got nothing to do with this.
He's just as high. He's just as high as Randy Orton. Some would say LeBron James is higher than Randy Orton.
Stop it, T.
I'm telling you the truth.
Stop it.
I'm telling you the absolute truth. If Hulk Hogan himself would pull out for you to shake his hand, you would do it. It's Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan in enough trouble.
That's true. It's very true. But let me tell you something, though. Hulk Hogan is one of the best in terms of notoriety, in terms of popularity, in terms of stature, in terms of network. He is one of the highest well-known wrestlers in the business today. If he in 1980 would have told you to shake his hand while his dick was out, you would have done it. Why? Because he is Hulk Hogan. Randy Orton should be looked at the same way in 2018. Randy Orton has had that stature. He's beaten the likes of John Cena, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker at one point or another, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio. I can go on and on and on, Dev. But the fact of the matter is, Randy Orton is Randy Orton. He's 13-time world champion. In 2005, no, he did not have that stature, but by that time, he was a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. He was in a rivalry with The Undertaker going into WrestleMania 21, I believe it was. So, the way I see it, he needed to do his job, earn himself in the ranks, and know his place in the position of that company, and shake his hand.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, and I'm going to have to publicly apologize for his opinion. Because when Randy Orton got there, you think Randy Orton would have to shake somebody's hand? Let's say Randy Orton first gets there. And let's say Undertaker pulls his dick out.
Absolutely.
So you're saying Randy Orton would touch Undertaker's hand after Undertaker would touch it?
It's The Undertaker.
I don't care who it is.
It's The Undertaker.
I ain't trying to see no little taker.
It's The Undertaker. You most definitely would have. There's no ifs or buts about it. It's The Undertaker. It's called doing your dues. You do what is required to get yourself higher in the rankings of the workplace. You may not. It's pretty much swallowing a pill you don't want to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, but guess what? You more certainly will swallow that pill if you want to keep your job and continue to work for one of the highest paid companies in the business. It's just, I mean, I
wouldn't be mentioning swallow in the same sentence as that. Cause that's just gonna seem wrong right there.
You know,
and never in my life would I ever have a man reach down his pants, touch his dick, and then go to shake my hand. I would drop him.
Why not?
That ain't happening. I don't care who he is. I don't care if it was Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, anybody trying that shit, they getting decked. And you gonna sit here and tell me that a man gonna walk up, reach down his pants, and be like, I'm Randy Orton. You gonna shake his hand. And you know it stink, smell like sweat, you know he probably got some kind of testicular disease, and you gonna willingly touch a grown-ass man. You know what?
It's Randy Orton.
Oh, I thought you was out.
I am, but if we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna talk about it. It's Randy Orton. It's a 13-time world champion.
All right, man, they're not arguing with you. I said all I'm gonna say, so I'm gonna put my feet up. Rest of the article is yours.
In all my years of following this company, and I've been following this company for many years, 1997, 1998. 1980s, the golden era, new generation, attitude era.
Man, you have not.
I was there. I covered this. I was there.
No, you weren't. What you talking about, man? What's wrong with you this morning?
The fact of the matter
You are not 50 years old. You was not talking about some I was there. No, you wasn't.
The fact of
you wasn't even thought of. I wasn't even thought of.
The fact of the matter is
Randy Orton wasn't even thought of.
The fact of the matter is,
you know what?
He's a world champion. He's been in the company for many years. Have earned the. And this was let's bring it back to the matter of the fact that this was in 2005. It's 2018. Why is this being brought up now? The way I see it, it should be done over with. The man is probably he's done his absolute worst and he's done his absolute best. It's in 2005. It happened. We let it go.
I mean, I do agree with you on that because. You know, I mean, Randy Orton's a completely different person now. You know, he's a husband, he's a father.
A beautiful wife, beautiful kids.
Yeah, he's matured back then. I mean, you look at 2005 Randy Orton, and how he acted, and you look at him now, he's a much more matured Randy Orton. And Randy Orton was young and cocky back then. So, I mean, you can't really... I don't really see why they brought it up now. They probably brought it up to spread a story that isn't really even that important and it's irrelevant, just so their page can get clicks and views, and so their podcast would gain a bigger audience for reporting a story like that. That's the only reason I think it was even brought up. Or maybe whoever brought it up just has something against Randy Orton. I don't know. But now this story is getting to a point where it's being like covered by Fox News of all people. So I don't know if anything's going to happen to Randy Orton. I don't think anything should happen to Randy Orton. You know, if it happened way back then, like, what's the point of doing anything about it now? You know?
Yeah, well, what else we got here? What else we got?
Well, some big news this week.
Okay.
We have lost a wrestler this week.
Yes, we did.
Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Daughter of Natalia. Brother of...
What you talking about, man?
I mean, the father of...
Daughter of Natalia.
Excuse me, my apologies. The father of...
You on something today.
The father of Natalia, also the brother of Bret Hart, as long as well of the, the cousin of British... They were cousins, weren't they?
Oh, they were somehow related. I don't exactly know.
Also the brother of Owen Hart. It's a very saddened loss.
He passed away at the age of 63.
And didn't make it to the Hall of Fame before he passed away, which I think is another shame. Another case, in my opinion, of a great wrestler, one of the top 5 of all time, not making it into the Hall of Fame while he was alive. And I think that's kind of my problem. First of all, let's get that out the way. The WWE Hall of Fame is not by its nature a real Hall of Fame. It doesn't have a real hall. It doesn't have a real place you can go to where it's not like the NFL or NBA Hall of Fame where you can take your family, your kids, go to a building and go and see the lineage of each NFL or NBA player. It's not like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame where you can take your wife, your kids, and go see the lineage of the many stars who played whether it was a guitar or sung or I went to a Hall of Fame. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame myself a couple years back. The WWE Hall of Fame does not have that. So there is, by its nature and by its name, a real Hall of Fame. It's just you get your name written in a made-up Hall of Fame, and you get put on the website for all to see. But that's not here or there, Deb. What I dislike is the fact that while he was alive, many names were put into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Teddy Long, Snoop Dogg, the guy who was in last year, the Hillbilly Jim. Mm-hmm. Booker T. There's so many wrestlers and people that have been put into the Hall of Fame who got their moment, who got to talk about their lineage and their power and whatever they did in the company, that didn't need it. I don't believe Teddy Long needed it at this point in time. I don't believe Snoop Dogg needed it. I don't believe Hillbilly Jim needed it at this point in time. But a guy like Jim Neidhart, who, again, and this is my opinion, a top 5 wrestler in the company of all time, while alive, didn't get the opportunity to stand up, to stand with his brother Bret Hart, to stand up with his daughter Natalia, and talk about what he did in that company, what he did with his brother, what he did with Owen Hart. That's my problem with it, is that while alive, they didn't give him the notoriety, but I guarantee you, this year coming up in 2019, a Hall of Fame, they'll put him in it because he passed away. And I do have a deep problem with that. But I'm going to let you go ahead and take the floor on this one.
I mean, it's like the same situation as Vader, if you look at it.
Absolutely the same situation.
Vader has passed away as well, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. They could have done it while he was alive, but they, for whatever reason, just didn't. And knowing that everybody knew Vader didn't have that long to live, he was always saying, I've been told I got 3 months left to live, 2 months left to live, and they could have done it, but they just didn't. I don't know why. But then they go and put Hillbilly Jim and all those kinds of people in the Hall of Fame, and I'm like, well, they could have been added later because they're still going to be alive. Like, you need to do this while you can.
Absolutely.
Because what's the point of putting them in the Hall of Fame if they're not actually going to be there to have their induction? Mm-hmm. It's always sad to see a wrestler get inducted when they passed away because they don't get to have that moment of being inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Just imagine you've been wrestling 20-some years and you've had a great career, and then you always imagine you'll be in the Hall of Fame, and then you pass away and you never get to, but they put you in it after you pass away, so you'll never get to have that moment of being in the Hall of Fame. Yeah,
and another problem that I have in mind with this, first of all, before we continue, I want to give my condolences, and I want to send my my well-wish prayers out to the Hart family.
Me too, man.
With that being said, right here on this podcast, episode 2, if he would have kept healthy, if he would have stayed healthy, Jim Neidhart would have been the number 1 in the company by far. No one would have beat him. He would have been better than John Cena. He would have been better than Randy Orton. He would have been better than Triple H because he just was that good. I mean, the way he came off the ropes and hit a clothesline, the way he would, spike a person down when Bret Hart would come off the ropes and Jim has him for that spine buster, Bret would come with the clothesline. There was no one better than Jim Neidhart when he was at his prime and healthy. No one could beat him. No one was better than him. The Rock wasn't better than him. I think, and again, my own opinion, Bret Hart wasn't better than him. There was no one better than Jim Neidhart at his prime in his tenure. And I believe if he would have stayed healthy in 2018, he would be better than guys like Kenny Omega, guys like AJ Styles.
What? What's wrong with you, man? Stop it. You need to quit, T.
Well, it's the truth.
You need to quit.
Well, it's the truth.
How you gonna tell me? Shut up. How you gonna tell me
that Jim Neidhart, in this day and age,
Well,
if he was healthy,
okay.
we're talking about a 63-year-old man,
Yeah.
is gonna out wrestle people like Kenny Omega. Have you seen what Kenny Omega has done? Have you been watching the G1?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
How do you expect a 63-year-old man to keep up with the likes of Kenny Omega, Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, Evil, all those guys?
He was just that good.
No, he wasn't.
Jim Neidhart would have come back, and you would never get his speed for a big man, for someone who was 230, maybe going on 300 pounds. His speed was unlike anything I've ever seen. He would come across that ropes. He would have hit you with a clothesline, maybe hit you with a power slam or a power bomb, depending on how the match went. Come back, hit you with a spine buster. There was no one better than Jim Neidhart at his prime. When he stopped wrestling, it was one of the most saddest things that ever happened to the company, because even now, at his tenure, 2018, had he stayed healthy, had he stayed fit, no one would be able to beat him today. That's how it is.
I don't know what they put in your cereal this morning, man. I don't
Well,
know. You on drugs?
Well, I'm telling you.
You on drugs?
Well, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you how it is. Jim Neidhart.
You ain't telling nobody how it is.
Well,
Talk.
it's the truth. Jim Neidhart was one of the very best to ever step in the ring. There's no denying that. And you know what? Another problem I have in mind. I'm being honest. Another problem I have in mind is that he didn't get the notoriety. He didn't get the fame and fortune, like some of these other guys. Like, see, Hulk Hogan, he's a well-known celebrity. Everybody knows him. John Cena, he's a well-known celebrity. Everybody knows him. Jim Neidhart should have been the exact same way.
No.
Why not?
No.
Well, okay. Well, I'm making a case.
Because, like, if you look at it from back then,
okay,
all he was known for was tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
He never did anything else. He never proved anything else. I'm pretty sure he didn't win a singles championship. I can't confirm that.
The potential that he had. See,
potential.
You're not looking past. You're not looking at the main thing that I see in his career and in his tenure. Him as a tag team wrestler was one of the best I've ever seen. He was better than Matt and Jeff. He was better than Team 3D. He was better than Triple H and Shawn. He was better than the Hart. He's better than the Rockers. He was better than he's better than Paul London and Brian Kendrick. He was better than Miz and Morrison. He was better than the Revival. He was better than all those guys because of what he did in his tag team run. Multi-time tag team champion with his brother Brett. Hey, I'm making a case.
You need to go to a mental hospital,
I'm telling you.
You're talking crazy.
I'm telling you exactly
crazy.
I'm telling you what you need to hear. If he would have stayed healthy, no one could touch him. He was just that good. I watched him.
Man, whatever, man.
He was just that good.
Anyway.
Nonetheless, again, my condolences and my well-hearted wishes to the Hart Foundation family. I wish the best to them in his passing. But we're going to move on. What else do we have here?
This article from Bleacher Report states how he passed away.
Okay.
So let me back to where it says. This article is from Bleacher Report.
Okay.
It says TMZ Sports obtained a copy of the investigation report of Jim Neidhart's death, and his wife Elizabeth told the investigators that he had turned weirdly as if he were about to dance when he went to adjust the thermostat. He then fell towards the wall and the ground, hitting his head, and he started suffering from seizures.
Oh, man.
She then called 911. What else does it say? It actually doesn't say anything else. But yeah, so that's how he passed away. It's sad to see. I guess he was on seizure medication is what it says, and he been suffering from seizures, and he started seizuring, and that's what caused his death.
Again, my well-hearted wishes, my condolences to the Hart family. Out to Natalia, out to Brett.
Tyson Kidd, everybody.
Tyson Kidd, Davey Boy Hart Smith.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough loss on the industry, on the wrestling community. and to the many of them who loved his work and who followed it for many years, it's very sad to see him pass and go.
Did you know that Jim Neidhart was actually good friends with the Addiction? I found that out the other day. They had a bunch of pictures together.
I didn't know that.
And I found that out. I was like, oh, he meant a lot to a lot of people. As soon as it happened, everybody was coming out. I was like, I didn't think people were that close to him.
Like I said, he was one of the. He's probably top 5 in the business, of course.
Well, an interesting fact that I found out yesterday was back in the whatever era he wrestled in, I'm not sure if it was Attitude Era or Golden Era. It was between that time. And they had their group called the Hart Foundation, which was Owen Hart, Jim Neidhart, Bret Hart, British Bulldog, and Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
And an interesting fact that somebody brought up is Bret Hart's the only one left. If you really look at it, Owen Hart passed away. Brian Pillman passed away a long time ago. So did Owen Hart. Jim Neidhart just passed away, and British Bulldog has passed away. So Bret's the only one left, and Bret's starting to get up there in age too. So it's crazy to think about how he's the only one left of the Hart Foundation.
The worst of the 5.
And why you say that?
What are you talking about?
Why is Bret Hart the worst?
Well, he's the worst wrestler of the 5.
Why you say that?
Okay, I'll level him up. I'll put him over Brian Pillman.
All right, man. We're gonna move on here.
He wasn't better than British Bulldog. He wasn't better than Owen Hart. Owen Hart was the better wrestler of the 2. He wasn't better than Jim Neidhart either.
Owen Hart was a very great wrestler, man. I was so sad when he died.
Yeah.
He so much missed potential.
Yeah.
More than Jim Neidhart, but
no.
But anyway, we're gonna move on here.
Okay.
Where'd this article go? Shit. Where did it go?
Supposed to have this, man.
It was right here. I don't know where it went. So, I'm looking up the article now. So, we wanted to talk about SmackDown 1000 that's coming up this year.
Yeah.
The 1000th episode special.
Yeah, forget about that. That is coming up.
So, is this the article? Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, this article comes from eWrestlingNews.com. It says, big name and matches advertised for WWE SmackDown 1000 episode, which is taking place October 16th of this year, 2018. For those of you who don't know what year it is, you might be watching this next year. But local advertisements have The Undertaker booked to appear at the show. Styles versus Samoa Joe, Bryan versus The Miz, Orton versus Hardy are all matches that have been advertised.
Well,
and that's the article.
Before we go too far within this, I want to talk about SmackDown. And hello, Christy. It's very good to see you. SmackDown is, I guess you could say, one of the reasons why I got into wrestling.
Same here.
The Undertaker was featured on that show. Guys like Rey Mysterio were featured on that show. Batista, Kane.
Yep.
And when they had the Raw 1000 show, it was a great, memorable show. Very, very historic. And now that we are getting the SmackDown 1000 show, I'm very interested. I'm quite excited for what they're going to do. For the simple fact that there's so many memories and so many personal feelings I've had for SmackDown for the past decade and a half that I've followed this sport. I personally hope we see the likes of Boogeyman come back. Batista would be nice to see him again for this.
Yeah, it's not like he's doing Guardians of the Galaxy right now.
Well, no, we don't know.
Well,
he could make an appearance.
He could. I mean, he was a big part of SmackDown at one point.
Very big part.
I'm surprised they haven't said anything about The Rock being there. The Rock's the one who pretty much made SmackDown. If you think about it.
That is a good.
So I don't know if they're gonna. I
would assume he would show up for that as well. Edge was a huge part of SmackDown. Rey Mysterio.
Well, they had Edge there for SmackDown 900, didn't they? Last year. or it was like they had some kind of SmackDown special, and it was like Edge was there, and then that's when like Undertaker came back, and he was like, "Oh, WrestleMania is not going to define me anymore." You remember
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it SmackDown 900 or something like that? I don't remember exactly what it was called, but like it was some kind of special when Edge came back for it.
Rey Mysterio. Well, it's again, it's speculation. We can talk about it, but it's supposed that Rey Mysterio is supposed to come back to the company. So I could see him showing up for this as well. We know he does have a little bit of contract. He has a little bit of appearances with New Japan. I think he's at. He's gonna be at All In. That's September 1st. So I can most definitely see Mysterio showing up for this event.
Well, I can see him coming back anyway since he's a pre-order bonus for the game.
Yes, yeah. Supposedly, I would assume after September 1st, Rey Mysterio will be back in the WWE Squared Ring.
Yeah.
With that all being said, I think this is going to be a memorable event, just like the Raw 1000 was.
Do you think it'll be better than Raw 25?
I think anything will be better than Raw 25. Raw 25
was so bad.
It was a really bad show. SmackDown has been a great. SmackDown's been really, really fantastic this year. I've enjoyed since the draft. SmackDown has been really good. I've enjoyed.
It got really bad, but it's getting better.
Oh, it's getting fantastic. Ever since the draft.
Yeah, well, when Jinder had the title, it was like a whole
right.
But now it's starting to get better. You know, they got all kinds of different talent on there now.
Speaking of it, Raw is actually on now, right?
It's Tuesday. SmackDown's on right now, actually.
Yeah, I just said that.
You said Raw.
Oh. But yes, SmackDown really picked up once the draft happened. Once guys like Almas and Joe, Daniel Bryan, The Miz, also New Day is a big factor at SmackDown right now. The Usos, the Bar, the Bludgeon Brothers, and then Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Rusev Day. There are many, many parts of SmackDown that I think is just so hard not to like. That when it comes to the SmackDown show on October, I think it's gonna be very hard not to enjoy it, and not only what we have in present day with the future wrestlers, but also bringing back some of the past, like The Rock, like Chris Jericho, like
Undertaker,
like The Undertaker, like Edge, like Mysterio, like Batista. Guys who made SmackDown what it is today. Guys who paved the way and made you want to watch SmackDown every single Friday night or every single Tuesday or Thursday, whatever they had the schedule for, because Fox and SmackDown's doing very great, and it's gonna be great to see some of the guys that passed. With that being said, I leave the floor to you on this topic. So yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to be a great show. I have high hopes for it. A 1000th episode of anything is supposed to be something special. Just like you said, Raw 1000 was a pretty good show. It's a pretty special show.
Mm-hmm.
They had a whole bunch of people come back. It was a good show. So I'm hoping SmackDown 1000 will, have a great show. They bring back some people that'll make you remember SmackDown of old mixed in with the people of now, and you'll just get a good vibe all out. I hope on top of, hopefully they do what Raw 25 didn't do, where they can, make it a big show. Make it a huge deal. Not like how Raw 25 was. Put some championships on. Have some title matches on SmackDown 1000. Make it important. Like this is our 1000th episode. The WWE title's being defended, or the U.S. title, whatever. On top of, you have an Undertaker segment, or a segment where, all these old guys come back, and then you also have important matches that mean something, unlike Raw 25, where they just had, weekly matches that nobody cared about. Have important matches that'll make you care throughout the whole show, along with all that nostalgic feel, and I think it should be a good show. Hopefully they do that and not go the Raw 25 route, where it's just they try to overload nostalgia and then have nothing else.
I agree.
But we'll have to see. October 16th, I think it said, of this year. So yeah, that's something else that's happening in October now.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks after that is Evolution, but want to talk about
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna talk about that. Anything else?
We have 2 more stories to cover.
Okay.
So now we're gonna cover what's going on with Matt Hardy.
Okay.
So this comes from Sportskeeda.com. Latest update on Matt Hardy possibly retiring from pro wrestling and his recent injury. So if all of you haven't seen on Matt Hardy's Instagram, on his Twitter, he's been posting all these cryptic things like saying thank you, posting a bunch of fan pictures, and he even posted a picture with Bray Wyatt. He said thank you something, and
thank you for joining.
And you know, it kind of was leaning towards, you know, like, why is Matt saying thank you and doing all this, saying it's been a great journey, and then you start thinking, and you're like, is he retiring? And then, you know, it started getting out that he was injured, and
right.
Sportskeeda says that during the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted, the man himself, Dave Meltzer, he opened up on Hardy's latest cryptic tweets and also discover what the future holds for him. Well, that's just telling the history of Matt Hardy. Let me get past that real quick.
Well, okay, so what we know, this is what we know about Matt Hardy. I'm pretty sure it's his, pretty much his back and his pelvis. They're fusing together.
Yeah.
Well, and this is pretty much going to decide the future. It pretty much, this is causing him to retire.
Yeah.
Well, let's start off by saying, again, and I'm going to make this very known, I'm going to make this very clear for everybody at home, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this later on. I'm going to say this very loud and clear so everybody hears me. Matt Hardy is a better Hardy of the two. He just was. He had amazing feuds. We got the likes of MVP, Edge, Jeff Hardy himself. He was more popular. He was the smarter of the two. He was more versatile. He had his demons, and when it came to a little bit of alcohol problem and some drugs, but the fact of the matter is, Matt Hardy was the better of the two Hardys. And I'm more saddened the fact that Matt has to retire. I kind of wish Jeff would retire. I do. Because Matt was just, I wish it was Jeff instead of Matt. Because Matt was always the better of the two. He was the better wrestler. He was better, you know, whenever he would come off the rope, hit that elbow, fall over with that beautiful leg drop, hit a twist of fate. No one did it better. Jeff could not even come close to having greater matches than Matt. Sure, Jeff was a world champion multiple times. He was a 2-time world heavyweight champion, 1-time WWE champion. But guess what? Matt Hardy was an ECW champion. He's one of the best. When I think United States champion, guess what? The names I think in my mind is MVP and Matt Hardy. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter is, he was a TNA world heavyweight champion. He's won every single tag team championship to ever win, and between WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, Evolve. Progress, PWG, you name it. Matt did it all. He's a hardcore champion. He's a European champion. Matt was the better of the two. It is a medical problem to why he has to retire, and for that, it is forgiven. But in my opinion, it is incredibly saddened to me that he has to retire because how good he was. And how good he could have been, especially when you bring in the factor of the broken gimmick, all he's done for the company with that, within TNA and WWE. It's just sad.
Well, I think you on some stuff today, but
well, it is what it is. He just was.
You know, there are some points I agree with you on. In terms of wrestling ability, you know, Matt is the more grounded wrestling type style.
Okay.
Jeff is more of the acrobatic, you know, Daredevil-ish type.
Yeah.
That's why he was so popular.
Well,
you know, I'm a diehard Jeff Hardy fan, and I'm willing to admit that.
Okay.
And you know,
that's good.
The first wrestling match I ever saw was Matt Hardy versus CM Punk on SmackDown sometime in 2009. And you know, I liked what I saw, and you know, I've went back and watched their old stuff. You know, the Hardys are my favorite tag team of all time.
Okay.
But I've always just liked Jeff more, but I just don't see how you say Matt is better than Jeff. In some aspects, Matt is better than Jeff, and in some aspects they're even, and some aspects Jeff is better.
I think you're completely wrong on all that. It never starts with the means.
You need to quit today.
I'm being serious.
I'm telling you what.
I'm telling you, Matt is the better.
No.
Was always the better of the two.
No.
I'll give you this. Jeff had more fame. I'll give you that. But the fact of the matter is, Matt was just a better overall performer when it came into the square circle. I mean, yeah, Jeff had the swan time. Matt Hardy had the leg drop. And no one to this very day did a leg drop better than Matt Hardy. To this very day, not Hulk Hogan, not what's his face, not I can't even think of a name. But the fact of the matter is, no one did a better leg drop than Matt Hardy. When he came off that rope and was smashed down on someone's chest with that leg drop, no one did it better. He did the better of the two. He did, out of the two, Jeff and Matt, he did the better twist of fate.
Granted.
Okay.
But that I've heard that's the reason why Matt's back is how it is now, because of all the leg drops he's done. Especially that one where he jumped off the cage on the edge, that really messed him up.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't know. I just don't see how Matt is so much better than Jeff.
He always was. He's the older brother.
No.
He had more championship opportunities. He made instead of Jeff relied on his face paint.
More championship opportunities.
Well, yeah.
What you mean?
Multiple time U.S. champion, multiple time ECW champion, European champion, multiple time tag team championship. He was a hardcore champion. Multiple time World Heavyweight Championship in TNA. Multiple time.
That title don't mean nothing.
Multiple time Omega champion.
Man, you can't compare that to what Jeff Hardy has done. You look at Jeff, light heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Hardcore champion.
Those don't matter.
European champion.
Okay.
WCW tag team champion.
Okay.
WWE tag team champion.
Okay.
TNA tag
so is
team
Matt.
champion.
So is Matt.
United States champion.
So is Matt.
Intercontinental champion. I think he's like 4-time Intercontinental champion. World Heavyweight champion.
So is Matt.
Twice. Not in WWE.
TNA is world champion.
WWE champion.
Okay, but he won a world championship in TNA.
So did Jeff.
Once.
Still. He won.
Okay.
Ring of Honor tag team champion.
Okay, so is Matt.
Jeff has had more titles than him.
No.
Yes.
Okay, even if he did have more titles, Matt held those titles with more lineage and more prestige. I tell you this right now. When I think of the U.S. Championship, there is no one else that I could think of better than that name than Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy and MVP, they held a feud for more than a year. They carried that brand on their back. There were so many injuries. Batista got injured at one point in time. Not Kim Shamrock. Mr. Kennedy was injured during this time. Finley got injured during this time. MVP and Matt Hardy had to carry that mid-card division on their back, and they did it successfully. That was one of the most successful feuds that people remember. To this day, people remember the feud of MVP and Matt Hardy. No one did it better. No one held that title with more lineage than Matt Hardy. That's a fact.
I mean, you can think what you want. Jeff has had better feuds.
It's the truth.
Because, I mean, he's had feuds with Undertaker.
Okay.
Triple H.
Sure.
He's had, feud with Randy Orton.
Okay.
He's had all kinds of feuds, all kinds of great matches.
But those don't matter. Those don't have the problem is that those feuds don't have the same lineage that the feuds that Matt had with guys like MVP. The guys when he feuded with Edge over that huge feud he had with Edge that were based around Lita. When you brought up when he came off that cage with the leg drop, no one did it better. That feud was what made Matt a star. What made, in my opinion, him better than Jeff. So the fact that you want to say that Jeff is better, okay, I'll give you. Yeah, he was a world champion. He was a multi time world heavyweight champion. He was a one-time WWE champion. I'll give you that. But Matt is a smarter one. He's the one who made a notoriety out of his career. He changed his style. He changed his gimmick around with the broken stuff. He held the title with more lineage. The fact of the matter is, Matt was just all around better performer.
Let's just agree to disagree.
There is no agreeing to disagree. Matt is the better performer.
No.
Well, okay, make the case. Give me examples. Throw it on the table. I'm throwing a case of Mountain Dew right now. Throw it out. The floor is yours. Sit your game.
If you look at the matches that Matt has had and Jeff has had, Jeff's rivalries and matches have always had more importance.
Stop it.
They felt like they've been on a higher level. You know, it just always seemed like Jeff's matches had so much more importance, and Matt's were like they were good. I'm not saying they're not good, but whatever Matt was doing just was never as important as what Jeff was doing. And if you look in terms of their matches, you know, Matt has some memorable matches, but Jeff has more memorable matches. You know, I love both of them, but Jeff will always be my favorite. I don't see how Matt is the better wrestler and competitor. Yes, he's better, you know, at wrestling, but he's not. It doesn't make him a better competitor just because he has more of a ground game and, you know, better wrestling.
Is the floor mine?
Floor is yours.
I sat here and I listened to every word you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this. I can't wait to tell you how much I disagree with everything you just said.
Oh, Lord.
And with that said, no, just a big no. I mean, come on. When you sat there and when you factor in the many things that Matt has done in his tenure, the many matches, the many things he's done, Matt just did it better. I mean, sure, Jeff had a feud with Triple H, he had a feud with The Undertaker, but guess what? Matt had feuds with he did stuff with the Mattitude stuff with Shannon Moore. Again, I mentioned the feud he had with MVP. He had a feud with The Edge. Whenever he had a feud with Jeff Hardy, it was Matt that carried that feud. Let me just think here. I mean, because he had so much memorable stuff, I can't even think of it all. The feud he had with Mark Henry for the UCW Championship. Feud he had with EC3 on TNA for the World Championship. Matt just did it better because he is that guy. Now, if you want to bring another guy in and talk about that guy, that's fine. But Matt is the better of the two between Jeff and Matt. And that's the fact of the matter is, I mean, hey.
I mean, there are some points you're not wrong on.
Okay.
Like Matt does carry the feuds.
Okay.
No, the way I see it, it's like, no matter what happens, and I don't think it'll ever change. It almost changed, but still to this day, it hasn't fully changed. Where people will always like Jeff more. Now with the broken, woken stuff, whatever you want to call it.
Has that not escalated him?
It has.
Okay.
And it got to a point where people love Matt more than Jeff, but because of where he is with it now, he has sunk him back down to the same level he was at before, where people love Jeff over him. And he's gone right back to where he was before, where he didn't want to be.
I'm out.
Alright, well, we're going to move on then. We've been talking way too long on this. So, anyway, Matt Hardy will not be wrestling forever. Everybody knows, you know, you can't wrestle forever. You get old. So, Matt Hardy will reportedly be undergoing rehab treatment. So, he's going to try to get himself better, see what he can do. But you never know how much longer somebody's going to be able to go. You know, his body is broken down of all the extreme shit he did, all the matches he's had. His body's breaking down. You know, he's starting to get up there in age. Jeff is too. So you don't know how much longer they're going to be around.
Okay.
So
I'll give you that. Okay.
So my suggestion would be,
That's good.
is, you know, Matt goes to rehab, gets himself therapy, gets himself in a good light, and then I think WWE should let him do what he wants for the rest of the time that he wrestle who he wants and does what he wants with the Broken Woken character. Because you're not going to have much time left with him, and if you want to have dream matches and you want to make this a big thing, you need to hop on it now while he's still able to wrestle. You know?
Uh-huh.
Could you imagine how stupid it would look if Matt was retired, but he came out doing that to, like, manage Jeff? You know how stupid that would look? I mean, it could work, but I would say capitalize on Matt Hardy while he's still there. But we're going to move on to this next and final story because we've been here for a while. I don't even know how long. Let me see how long it's been, actually. 50 minutes.
Okay.
So, we're going to move on to this last story, if I can pull it up here. This story comes from, it's loading, WrestlingInc.com. Colt Cabana suing CM Punk for over $1 million. I'm sure you've heard this story going around. It's another pretty big story. And
does this article explain why? Because I heard that he's doing it, but I don't know why.
Well, let me read it. So, Colt Cabana is suing CM Punk over legal fees related to their recent defamation lawsuit win over Dr. Chris Amon. Hold on, it's lagging. Cabana has filed a lawsuit against Punk in court for breach of contract and fraud. Colt's lawsuit alleges that Punk promised to help him out with legal bills from the defamation lawsuit. Colt claims Punk told him that he would be 100% covered in a text message. Punk has allegedly failed to keep that promise, and Colt now has unpaid legal bills totaling $513,736. Punk asked Colt to pay half of the legal fees, which would be $256,868, allegedly saying, "You're on your own."
Oh. Wow. Okay. And now I see why.
And here's a quote from what Punk said. To this date, I have spent $513,736 on this Amon lawsuit. Punk wrote in the email, according to Colt. My outstanding current bill is at least $300K. Half of all this is yours. Divide the $513,736 by 2, and that is what you owe me and what I expect you to pay me. Starting now, I will no longer be paying your bills. You are on your own. Whatever my bill is currently will be cut in half, and half will be yours. If you choose to make this all ugly, that's fine too. I hope you won't, but I gave up on you doing what is right a long time ago. The lawsuit claims that Punk acted with fraud, malice, and oppression towards Colt with the deliberate intention of causing Colt harm. Colt is asking for $200,000 in general damages plus $1 million in punitive and exemplary damages, according to the lawsuit. So that's what's going on with that.
You know, this is going to be a big topic. I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you talked about this because I've sat and I've heard many of the times that these two have spoken. I've listened to many times CM Punk has spoken about what life was before he got to the company. WWE that I'm talking about. And it's amazing how he said how much fun him and guys like Colt Cabana, him and Samoa Joe, guys like that, how much fun they had when wrestling wasn't even about money. How they would go across the country, state to state, wrestle 2-hour matches all the time for little to no money. Flash forward many years, and these guys were best friends. I remember hearing that these two had stopped being friends. I didn't know how much truth that was, but now hearing this, it's true that these guys are not friends anymore. And from what I know, these guys were like brothers. Listen, we listened to the CM Punk podcast because of Colt Cabana. Had it been for Colt Cabana, we would have never have known, you know, all the stuff that went on backstage that happened to CM Punk. So it bothers me to know that everything that excuse me, everything that happened has led to this. to the fact that these two have these two have grown such a hate for each other. The fact that this is what it's led to, that money and things of this nature has divided these two. I think that's one of the most saddest things ever. Had these two, or had Punk sitting a company like Ring of Honor, or had he went to New Japan and Ring of Honor, how he just stayed and did PWG stuff. You know what? Who knows what we would have gotten? Like, would he still be doing it? Because money became a huge factor. I mean, you know, you're my brother. You're my brother for life. And I would hate for us to get high, you know, us we are now, we get paid absolutely nothing. We do this for the fun of it and for our own entertainment. That one day, money becomes an issue in our friendship and cause things to lash out and cause things to end the way it did. Another thing I wanted to comment on, the more and more I hear about Punk, the thing with this, Corey Graves, the more, or I should say the less and less I have respect and like for CM Punk.
Well, that's how a lot of people are feeling ever since the story broke. A lot of people aren't liking CM Punk now, and I've heard something about they announced they were at some wrestling event and they said like the hometown of CM Punk, and people started booing really bad, and then like Colt Cabana's chants started breaking out. So it's starting to seem like people are starting to turn on CM Punk.
But you know what? I think all this has to do with wrestling and why he's acting like this. We know from Corey Graves, he said that Punk stopped all contact with him, and when Corey Graves tried to get in contact with him many years ago, he said, "I will no longer speak with anybody associated with that company or with just that company." I think wrestling has destroyed Punk mentally so bad. He's gone to this place of hating anyone or anything associated with wrestling. I think, and all these things we keep hearing outside, whether it's his loss with UFC, whether it's the thing that Corey Graves brought up in the tweets, whether it's now this lawsuit, whether it was the lawsuit with the doctor, more and more I go, CM Punk will not return to WWE ever. And if he does, it'll be way down the line when he's 60, 80, maybe even okay, I'll give it in his 60s. He might come back in the 60s, you know, maybe a lot of time will have passed by then, where he might come out and just speak. I don't think he'll ever wrestle in a square ring again. I truly believe that. I think with all this stuff with like Cabana, who was his best friend, with the Corey Graves, he for sure is not coming back to WWE. If he ever wrestles again, I don't see him ever doing it. I just don't.
I can see Punk wrestling again. Definitely not in WWE, but I could for sure see him. Well,
I can't. I want to. In my heart of hearts, I want to. I want to see him in a square circle one more time.
Man, let me talk.
I'm just saying. I want to so bad. Well, you can have your minutes back, but I'm just saying. With everything that has gone on, I look at myself and empathy. You gotta put yourself in a place of another person. And when I put myself in a place of CM Punk, it's not that I don't think he wants to. It's because, like, for one, he lost 2 fights in UFC. So if it goes back, people are gonna channel, or people are gonna say, "Oh, well, you couldn't cut in UFC, so you had to go back to fake fighting." To wrestle. That's one thing where I'm like, I probably wouldn't come back for a couple 20 years because of that alone. Of like, I can't show my face in that light again because of what happened. 2, you got the Corey Graves thing going on. He's already has history with Triple H, so that's another thing. Then you got Colt Cabana, who was his best friend in pro wrestling with Ring of Honor and other stuff like that. Just all this stuff is just showing me that he just is not. Not like, I don't see it. Not a year from now. We know he has a contract. He's like not contract signing. Good God, he has a autograph signing coming up, like the week before All In or the day before.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go now. with all this going on.
Right. I'm just like, I don't know how that's going to lead. People think he's going to be at All In, but for me,
He'll probably get booed out of the building now.
I don't know how people feel about him, and it's just like the more and more I feel like hate is going on Punk. Not because he's trying to give hate. I think he's pushing everybody and everything associated with wrestling because it just messed him up so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him not within the next. I just don't see it. But go ahead.
I can see Punk wrestling again, but the way I see it, Punk will wrestle again one day, but not for a very, very long time. I think somewhere down the road, I don't think it's going to be for WWE, but I do think that somewhere down the line, Punk is going to one day end up coming back for maybe just, if it's even just one more match. I think he'll have one more wrestling match somewhere down the line. I don't think he'll never not wrestle again.
I do. I just don't see it.
Like, I could see Punk coming back for something at like G1 Supercard, something that big. I think Punk would be interested because I think Punk knows how much he's worth and how much money he can generate. And I think it would also work out for him because it'd be a way for him to make money, and it would also be a way for him to stick it to WWE by going there. So I think it'd be a win-win situation for Punk. Now, it all just depends on what Punk wants. If he wants to wrestle, he will. If he doesn't, then he won't. And that's it.
Well, see, that's another thing that's kind of tough to talk about because we know when it comes to business, if you're a businessman, when you are out of money, you would do what things are required because of business and what is best for business, as Triple H would say. So, okay, I will agree with you on that if the price is right and if he feels like his network will bring in more people for that, I think he might do it. But at the same time, not a year from now, not 2 years, not 3 years, not 4, not 5, and he's getting up in age. I'd say maybe give him 20 years, but he doesn't have that kind of time. He's already like close in his 40s, if he's not in his 40s. So you tell me. I want him to, but with everything going on,
the fans want him to. A lot of people want him to, but all in the end, it's up to Punk.
It's up to Punk.
It's what he wants. If he wants to wrestle, he will. But if he doesn't, then we may never see him wrestle again. But that's all the news we got for you today.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you all enjoyed the second episode of the podcast. Third episode will be coming soon. I'm not sure what we're covering yet. We haven't discussed that yet.
SummerSlam is this Sunday. NXT TakeOver is this Sunday. Saturday. So we might do predictions on that. We might also do or maybe we'll just do a review on the two. Who knows? But
until next time, we'll see you all later
yeah.
on the next episode of the podcast.
Yeah.